Okay, so for the record, can you just tell me how old you are now?
I'm 20 now, 20, yes, I had to think about that then.
And how old were you when you became pregnant?
I was 8, just turned 18. Yeah, just literally after 2 months after my 18th birthday, that's when I found out I was sort of pregnant. It weren't obviously planned, like I said, it was sort of, I drank a cup of coffee, sick everywhere, and thought just a pregnancy test. And I was home alone, and I did it, and got pregnant. And I was so scared. I did not know what to do. So I ran to my best friend's house, which was around the corner, knocked on her door at stupid o'clock, and I said, I'm pregnant, I don't know what to do. And so I spoke to his dad about it, and we weren't sure. It wasn't like, okay, get rid of it, or we keep it. It was just, alright, yeah, we're young, what we're going to do. And we thought, well, first things first, we need to find out how far gone I was. And I went to the Mary Stopes because there was the only place that you could give me the scan that early. And I went there, and as soon as I seen this little thing, I thought, that's a bit of me in there, you know, that's a bit of me and a bit of you, and I just couldn't do it. And that was it. From that moment, I knew I was going to be a mum. I've always said that, you know. Not that I ever thought I was going to have kids. I mean, I've always said I would never have kids. But having a child just brings you that love that you couldn't even imagine. It's a different love to having a boyfriend or having a dog or even your favourite toy. It's just unconditional no matter what. And I think that's the bit that I love, because deep down that's what I've always wanted, is someone to love me unconditional, and with him that's that love that I've always wanted. So, yeah. I love him to pieces, I really do. Very protective.
Kay, would you say, you know, when you became pregnant it wasn't planned, would you say that you had all the information you knew about?
I did a lot of friends that sort of got pregnant a lot earlier than I did, and I knew that I'd just sort of had the implant, because I had the implant, and I just had the implant taken out, and within that space of 3 months the implant was taken out, I fell pregnant. So I was using protection, but there just wasn't enough protection, so it was very unexpected, but I would not change it. And I think sometimes the unexpected is what makes it better, because when you plan it you think you know everything, and it doesn't always work out, whereas when you don't know everything you learn so much more, and you need to learn it, which makes you sort of grasp everything. And I did, I did all the meetings, all the baby massage and just different things, and you do get a lot of outside everything, but only you know your child best. That's what I've always said, you know, you listen to everybody, taking all that knowledge, but only you know your child, and you go by your gut. So you listen to it, but you go by your gut, sort of thing. So
thank you for that. Yes, were you at school or college in education when you became pregnant?
No, I left school. I actually lived in Northampton with my nan. My mum and dad moved up here. And so I said I wanted to finish my school. It was the only school I went to that I didn't get excluded, I didn't get in trouble, I just fitted in perfect. And they did a lot for me, a real lot for me. I mean, they even got me to work with horses. I even did all my NVQs with working with horses and things like that. And I just wanted to I always said I wanted to finish school, because everyone thought I wouldn't finish school, then I wanted to prove it. It was just like a little thing that say I did it. I've done it, and I did, and after that we sort of moved up here, and I was doing my rescue at the time when I was pregnant, so I did have a job here, working with the RSPC and things like that, and I used to work part-time at Asda's doing makeup stand in there, so I did have a job, but I wasn't in so-called education, but yeah, so it was a bit of a stop in everything, because I'm pregnant.
Now, of course, bringing up Alfie is the most important job in the world. But after that, do you have any plans to?
I'm going back to college no matter what. I mean, I'm at work at the moment. That's to help out with bills and things like that, you know, and luxuries. But no, I'm really trying to get. I've been in touch with Oakland's College. I'm waiting for a call back. I think I'm just give them another call. But obviously I really want to go back to do either a veterinary course or an animal behaviourist course, because I like to know. I like the fact that some animals do get a bad rep, you know, being aggressive and things like that, but I like to work with those animals because they're like me, you know. You look at them and you think, I was you. Little characteristics, you know, like sometimes you get really feisty animals and you think, that used to be me, you know, really feisty and think I know it all. And I just love to know how the mind works and how, after love, what love can do. You know, love is so important, whether it's in children, people, even plants, that love, you know, that's what anything needs. You know, to be looked after, TLC, that's it.
I think we might rename our community mentoring to community loving.
Yes. Kelly hasn't said, but she's got a family nurse who's very afraid of dogs.
Yes.
And I am, look at me now, and she's helped me.
Really?
Yes.
Were you?
She would never
For the first 6 months, I would say, Dappy was locked away in a little room. I just freaked when he jumped up.
Yeah.
But Kelly's taught me a lot. She's brilliant, and I'm okay. I'm better with dogs. I don't like them jumping up, but I'm okay with Dappy. I can actually stroke Dappy now.
Yeah,
So she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. But I think you rescued as well, Dappy,
Yes,
didn't you? And he has, his behaviour has changed, because I remember he used to be a little bit jumpy when we first met.
Puppy stage.
And I thought, oh, doggy in this house. Yeah, it's a bit like two dogs don't bite in the past. That's why.
Okay, yeah.
But no, he's loads better. And I think a lot of it's thanks to Kelly. I can honestly say that.
That is a skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
Instinct, yeah.
It is instinct. With dogs, I mean, I'm fearful of some dogs around my son. Even my mum's dog, I always say to her, I don't know that dog. You know, she rescued that dog, and the look in its eyes, I can tell she doesn't like my son. Because it's the look she sort of gives to say, don't come too close. So I always say, put her out. Whereas with my dog, I've had him from a baby. I rescued him from, what should we say, people involved with drugs, and he was covered in fleas, he was beaten, and he was really underweight. And I took him to say, and I said, oh, you're not having him, taking that dog. And I took him and got rid of all the fleas, put some weight on him, got all his teeth back, because he had hardly any teeth, because he'd been like chewing off his stones and things like that. And he was my baby, and when I found out I was pregnant, obviously he was still my baby, and I was really fearful that what if he got jealous, or what if he didn't like Alfie. But I'd always brought him around kids. From the moment I had him, he was around babies, teenagers. My little brother used to take him out with all his friends and take him for walks, so he was always really around kids, and he's never showed any aggression towards anything. I mean, he runs away from cats, so that just proves it. But now, I mean, I can tell with Dappy, he's a very laid-back dog. He wants to be the centre of attention, he wants to learn. But with Alfie, it's a different story. He actually sleeps in Alfie's room at night. If I close the stairs, he'll cry to get into Alfie's room. And he'll sleep right next to the cot, sit there all night. If Alfie's playing in his room, he'll want to be with Alfie. Alfie sits there with his bottle like this, lying on Dappy, watching TV. And Dappy likes it. And I think, it's love. Dappy just getting love, and he likes that. You know, and I've always said that if he ever did show any aggression, then we would have to rehome, because obviously my child comes first. But he gives dogs a good name, because he is so laid back, and he's called Dappy because he's innocent, you know. He walks into doors, he's not too sure with glass, he thinks he can go straight through it. So, you know, but he's a really good dog, and I mean, I've always said, you know, if you're scared of dogs, Dappy's the one, because he's not aggressive, and if he gets a bit excited, he will jump up. Like kids, when they get excited, they start waving and things like that. But he is very obedient. You know, I tell him to lie down, sit and wait. He will not eat his food until I say, come. I can leave it there all day, but he will not touch it. And just at the moment, we're trying to stop Alfie giving him the food, because I've noticed that now. Alfie will eat a bit and then sit there and go like that, and I sit there like, Dappy! He'll look at me and sort of scatter off. Like, they're as bad. They're like two, like Dennis the Menace. That's what reminds me of Dennis the Menace and Nasher. So,
You've got a t-shirt, isn't it?
It is. They're a t-shirt.
Yeah, you know we're talking about you. We're talking about you,
no,
young
I mean,
man. Yes, we are.
I mean, I do have a big thing with dogs, because I think dogs do get a lot of bad reputation, you know, and I think I've got a lot of bad reputation growing up. That's what I think
should we pick them
my
up?
career path will be
Oh,
to
where's the
behaviour. But
get them in,
I
throw
know
them in.
that by the time I'm in my 30s, I'm going to actually got something, got a career. But my biggest thing is rescuing. I love rescuing. I love it, and that's what I've always said. I want to be like the RSPCA. I want to be like Batsy Dog Park, because they euthanise so many animals because they haven't got the training or the time to care for them. Whereas I want to be that step before the euthanisation. Not every animal can be safe. Some dogs, they've had such a bad upbringing that it's stuck in their mind. They are aggressive. But then others isn't. You can break that path. And I always say, if a dog hasn't bit somebody, you can work with it. Once it's bit that person, they've broke something in their mind, so they're not scared of people.
No.
They've broke that stage where they will now attack. So whether it's they're scared, they will attack. So in those sort of cases, I do think it's right, euthanisation, because it is to everyone's safety. If you're not going to be safe around that animal, then it's not fair. But I do like to try and save as many as I can. I don't always believe euthanasia is the right thing sometimes, because I've seen so many animals that are lovely, and they're brilliant. They could be brilliant pets and family pets, but there's just not enough time. So I want to be that, and I want Alfie to be that as well. We've just got an allotment now. We're going to get our chickens. And
Just got an allotment. As well as a job in Asda.
Yes, as well as a job.
And a family.
But I do. I want to be involved, like fresh veg. Going up there getting our strawberries and berry picking and feed our chickens and things like that. So I want him. It's another caring side. He's got to water that plant. He's got to feed the plant. To get the plant. So to eat our vegetables. And even with the chickens, to get our eggs, we've got to go there and water and feed them every day. Clean them out, make sure they're looked after, or for him to get his eggs in the morning. So I want him to be very caring when he's older. I think there's a lot of people out there, especially young people, that are very misunderstood and they need help. But I used to get a lot of it where people say, I know how you feel. Oh, I know how you feel. I think, you don't know how I feel. You haven't been through that. I used to get really angry about it, because I used to think, you're sitting there judging me, but you're telling me how you know how I feel, but you've never been through any of the stuff that I've been through, so how could you know how I feel? You could think you do, but until you've been in that position, no one really has a clue. And that's why I've always said, if I did have my rescue, I would actually like to get schools involved, where you have, children come from schools and come over and just to learn about different things and help out with animals, because I did. That's what I think one of the things that changed me, going to the stables all the time, caring for the horses, And I worked with a horse that had a big attitude, very big attitude, and he was a bit nippy, but I was with that horse for like 2 years. I went there 4 times a week, even out of school. In the end I used to go there, and it got to the point where I'd argue with my horse. I'd stand there, we'd have a little argument, and he'd follow me. I'd turn around and go, Casper, no! Casper, just go away! And he'd stand there, but he was still following me. I'm like, Casper, go away! And he'd come nibble on my shoulder, just want love and things like that. But I loved that horse, But when I first went there, that horse was awful. He used to try to buck me off, and he was just awful. But in the end, he'd never did any show jumping in his life. He was just used for doing a bit of cantering, a bit of galloping, things like that. But I actually taught him to do jumps and things like that, and I used to do all the jumping with him, and he loved it, and it was just things we could do together. I pushed him to do it, and he pushed me to do it, because I was terrified of going over the jumps. But we did it together, and I used to love it, and I think sometimes animals do help people. They give them that little bit of love that they're missing. And I think a lot of young children nowadays, and even young adults, they're missing that little bit of love. So,
If you don't mind me saying as well, Kelly's approached a few people down here. I think you've come across some people that have been perhaps a little bit abusive, and you've actually spoken to them, which I think is brilliant. In a gentle, kind way. You have
there's a lot of
people
around here that have mental conditions or that are addicts, and I was down the shop one day, and there was a gentleman around there, and he did obviously have some learning difficulties, and I did feel really sorry for him, because there's a load of young kids out there just absolutely taking the mick out of him, throwing stuff at him, and this guy who was trying to tell him to stop, and they were just laughing at him, and it made me sick to my stomach and so angry to think that somebody who isn't capable of doing everything that we can do, and you're sitting there abusing them for it. It's not their fault. I'm sure they would love to be able to do half the things, and it made me so angry, and I've lost it. I just sort of had a little bit of a rave with them, but not swearing or being violent, but I sort of told them, you know, how would you feel if that was your brother, your mother, your sister, you know, like, how dare you treat that person like that? They're no different to you, they're just not as advanced, they can't do everything that we can do, they've still got eyes, ears, nose, mouth, they've still got a brain, they've still got a heart, so why the hell would you treat them like that, you know? I don't understand that, you know, I've never been a bully, I've been bullied, you know, when I was younger at school, and I've also, not so much been the bully, but been around the bullies, and I didn't like them. I used to sometimes not bully the bullies, but I would say to the bullies, you know, leave them alone. You know, why pick on them? I was popular at school, but it's because I got along with everybody, whether the geeks, the popular people, you know, I think they were the same, you know, and if I could go back to school, I'd love to be a geek. Because I tell you what, they're the ones now in the big posh cars and the big houses, the jobs.
You're going to be an animal geek,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah. But no, I am interested in helping young children, and I would like to. You know, I think a lot. Even some of the young mums nowadays, you know, they do really struggle. I mean, I struggle sometimes with alcohol, and especially when I go back to work things like that. But it's how you cope with it, I think. Which I've dealt with so much. You know, I'm quite a hardy person. I can cope with quite a bit, you know, and I think some of them, they do struggle, and they do find it really hard. I think everybody finds it hard, whether you're young, old, you know, everyone comes across challenges that you have to sort of get past. It's how you sort of get past them, I think. And I think I'm just so lucky that I've got a lovely partner, you know, that we do click, and I mean, he works damn hard, like he's at work now, he works 7 days a week, but we fit in time to go swimming every single Saturday as a family. We do a lot of family things. But I think the thing that makes us work is how close we are as a couple. We're more best friends, you know. It's not my sexual marriage, but we are so close. I can talk to him about anything, and he knows every little thing about me. And he's probably one of the only people that know nearly everything that's happened to me. Whether it's been with my ex-partners or things like that. I'm able to speak to him about that, whereas before I couldn't speak to anyone about it. I was very ashamed of what happened, but then I just come to grips with it, you know. Yes, I've been abused and things like that, but, you know, I suppose the person I am today, I think that's why I'm so strong and very hard-headed, you know, and I want to do things, you know, and I'm very confident about things, and I'd like to sort of help people like that as well, you know, that have had even drug problems, and drug problems, and for you to sit there and say, I have had this drug problem and I've got over it, I think they deserve more medals than anybody, because people take drugs for different things. Sometimes it's to be cool or to be popular, but sometimes it's just a way of relieving yourself, and you just think, you know, if I do this I won't be able to think about this, which was what I did. I used to think, right, if I take this drug, that will go out my head, but then this one would come in, I'd think, right, I'll take this drug instead. And I did it. In the end, I just looked at myself and I thought, I'm so young and I'm addicted to drugs. You know, and I'm drinking more than what my mum and my dad drink, you know. And I think that was sort of a breaking point for me. But I don't think anybody can give up. If you tell somebody give up that, they won't do it. They need to be able to sit there themselves and say, I'm going to give it up. Because no one can make you do anything. You've got to be ready in yourself to do it. I think that's one of the biggest things, because everyone says to me, give it up, give it up. But I say, F off. And then it just comes to a point where I wanted to give it up. I wanted to change. And I think another thing was just to prove everyone, you don't know me. I'm not going to be in prison like you all think. I'm not going to be addicted to my whole life. I'm going to do something for my life, and this is what I'm going to do. And I did it, and now I can turn around and say to all those people, silence something, and say, do you know what, that's what all you thought of me, and you put me down for that. And now I can just say, I've got my own little family, I'm working, you know, I'm going to do something with my life. So.
I'm interested, Kelly, in your view about how much of the person you are today already existed. It's just that she was sort of covered up.
I never knew what... If someone said, what music do you like? I didn't like music. I like the music my friends like. I never really sort of knew my inner self. I was always... Because I'd been bullied, I think I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be accepted. And I think it comes from my homeless situation as well. You know, my mum and dad were violent towards each other. You know, my mum used to be a bit of a drink, and my dad was... used to smoke a lot of weed and things like that, you know, and around us it wasn't like it was kept secret.
Okay.
So I think a lot of that had a big effect on my childhood. You know, I'm not saying they weren't good parents, because they were. You know, I was very close to my dad, and my dad wouldn't anyone to hurt me, but they just didn't. They didn't know. They just thought I was an out of control child, and I think that sort of didn't help as well, because they didn't understand. And I used to look at them and think, I'm your daughter. How can you not know what's going on? And I just hated them for not knowing. Then when I think about it, how could they have known? Because I kept everything so secretive. And I was, you know, even when I did get abused, and it was more than 1 or 2 times, you know, that I was physically raped. And I never told anyone about it. You know, I carried on as if nothing happened. And I just made it in my mind, I'd go home, I cried in the bath, washed myself, and forgot about it. Like, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I think that's one of the bigger things as well, is the fact that I did used to just push it to the side, go that it didn't happen. But then I just come to terms that yes, it did happen to me, and the people got what was coming to them. You know, they went to prison and things like that. And I'm the person I am today. You know, I don't let it judge me. You know, I don't let it affect me at all. I really don't. It's happened to me, but don't hold me back. And I've got over it. I've sort of accepted the fact that it happened, but I've moved on. You know, and there's people out there worse than me. You know, there's people out there who have much worse things happen to them. So that's another thing as well. Like, I wasn't sitting there feeling sorry for myself. Oh, this happened. You know, just got over it. And I think it's just, I'm happy now. You know, I'm content with my life, which is something I never was. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lydia, please introduce yourself and say something about your role, please.
Okay, so I'm Lydia Octavia, family nurse. My background is midwifery, midwife for about 18 years and health visitor for about 12. And it's a real privilege to work with Kelly and young mums. It's a great, great role, I love it. We start forming a relationship with the family, with the mum, from about 12 to 16 weeks of pregnancy. And we do weekly visits for 4 weeks, then we go on to 2 weekly visits until the baby's born. Then once the baby's born, we do about 6 weekly visits, and then it goes on to 2 weekly, and then monthly by 21 months. So actually Alfie now is 16 months. At 21 months we'll be going on to monthly visits, but it's just been amazing working with the young mums, particularly Kelly. Yeah, as you've heard about her history and where she is now, and you know, she's going to try breastfeeding. Well, she didn't try breastfeeding. She carried him around on a poos all around Hatfield. Every time I saw her, she had a healthy on her front. And she breastfed for quite a few months. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. And her resourcefulness, as you just heard, coming from within, from her past to where she is now, she is absolutely amazing. It's just lovely to work with her. It's just a privilege, absolute privilege. I shall miss them when they go off the programme, but I can see her doing great things. It's really, really good. And obviously we monitor the baby's development. We do ASQs regularly. So we start at 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, 14 months, 18 months, 20 months and 24 months, yeah. And Kelly's really interested in those, aren't you? You love doing the ASQs because she can keep a step ahead herself. And it gets to the stage actually with Family Nurse Partnership, and I don't think Kelly mind me saying, but they start to notice other mothers perhaps that aren't on the programme, and they'll say, well, I've just seen a child and I know that they're 6 months and they should be doing this, and they're not actually even stimulating them in the right way to do that. And I think Kelly's got all that now from the programme, that she sees that what Alfie can be doing. She's encouraging other mothers as well. And I think that's brilliant.
That is very brilliant.
In health visiting, we didn't have the time to do that with mothers anyway. And I find that a lot of the mums have a lot of insight into their child's development, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's a great privilege to do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And yeah, what do we do? Bloody
She's thinking of business, going to business now.
This is the first time I've done it on a big scale.
Very naturally.
So now I know that I do the background first, then the animals. I keep saying if I could take the animals off and just do the background, I'd be happy. But it's getting there. But on this wall here, it's going to be underwater on the ocean.
Yeah, you're going to see the animals.
So we're going to have jungle on this side and then sea world on that side. So
lovely.
Fantastic.
yeah, I'll have to bring photos once it's all finished being done.